Hello and welcome to Berks Nature and You. My name is Tami Shimp, Vice President for Development and Community Relations at Berks Nature. And we're continuing in our series of watershed education, really just encouraging you to think about water in Berks County, in any areas where you visit or live, and where does your drinking water come from, and really think about your watersheds. So, on that note, I have Tom with me today from the Partnership for Delaware Estuary, and we're specifically talking about sand, which we'll tell you more about that. Tom, why don't you take a minute to tell us about the partnership and introduce yourself.
Well, thanks, Tami. And as Tami mentioned, I work for the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary, which is one of 28 nationally designated estuary programs. The primary focus of the Delaware Estuary is to protect the drinking water sources of the tidal Delaware River and Bay. And we take a science-based and collaborative approach to doing that. We cover a very large area which extends from Lewis, Delaware and Cape May, New Jersey, all the way up to Trenton in New Jersey along the Delaware River. And it also includes some of the watersheds that flow into the Delaware Bay, with the Schuylkill watershed being one of the largest, tributary to the Delaware River. Wow.
So you travel a lot.
I do.
That's
the
a lot
miles
of
on my car will prove that.
Great. Now, what is SAN? Tell us about that partnership there.
Well, the Schuylkill Action Network, which we call SAN for short, is a drinking water protection program, and it's an initiative that we run through the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary. And the focus of the SAN is to really bring together anybody and everybody that has a vested interest in keeping the Schuylkill River clean. So it might be a school, it might be a local municipality, it could be a business or a nonprofit organization, but it's really anybody that shares in that vision for a clean and healthy Schuylkill watershed. And we do a lot of projects on the ground, and we do education to try and find creative ways to keep the river clean.
Wow, okay. So if I were watching this and I didn't know much about the Schuylkill River watershed, I would wonder, why is this guy from Delaware in Berks County talking about our watersheds? So I think to back up a little bit and explain, 90% of Berks County drains into the Schuylkill River. So most of us are draining to the Schuylkill River, which then, take it from here, it leaves Reading.
Right, we can even take it one step further. So if you're on a small stream, just say outside of Kutztown, you might be along the Saucony Creek. The Saucony Creek will then flow into the Maidencreek, which will then flow into the Schuylkill River, and that will then flow into the Delaware River and into the Delaware Bay and eventually the Atlantic Ocean. So if we kind of think about that tree branch of the rivers, everything that happens along the river and the land that drains to that river or that stream will eventually impact that larger water body. So when we talk about maybe somebody from Philadelphia being concerned about what's happening up here in Berks County, everything that happens upstream of them is very important, because in Philadelphia, about half of the city gets their drinking water from the Schuylkill River. So if there's a pollution problem in Berks County, that's the source of their drinking water. So they need to find creative ways and create collaborations to work with everybody throughout the watershed to help keep that resource clean.
Right. So for example, the Philadelphia Water Department is a big partner of PDE?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions. Sometimes people will see a Philadelphia Water Department vehicle on a farm here in Berks County, and they'll wonder, well, why are they up here? What are they doing? And it's working with groups like Berks Nature or the Berks County Conservation District or the Schuylkill Action Network to work with that farmer to help them do things on their farm. We call them best management practices, but it's just really smart ways to farm better that's good for the environment. In the water department, they will help by investing up here, making sure that we have the resources to do projects. They will help with water quality testing, and provide some of the back-end resources that are needed to do all of this work here in Berks County.
Right. That's amazing to me. I really value this partnership and the fact that so many people do care about what we're doing here in Berks County. And I think it is so important for our listeners to realize that message and learn about what they can do right here, since so many others like you are investing into Berks. But I feel like many more people need to learn why that's important and why you care and why they should care. So could you describe in a little bit more detail what some of the best management practices are, not just on farms, but I know you do a lot with stormwater as well.
Right.
Give us some examples of projects that you, in general, that PDE and SAN likes to see implemented on the watershed.
Sure. Well, I think the reality of keeping the Schuylkill River clean is that we can't do it alone. It takes everybody and everybody to do their part. We talked about farmers. So farmers, it's very obvious that they can do things on their farm that might prevent manure from getting into the river. But everybody that's out there, whether we work, live, or play in the Schuylkill watershed, there's things that we can do to help keep it clean. An example for a school might be to work with their class to do some tree plantings or to install something like a rain garden, which will help water flow into the ground rather than run off on the street. A homeowner can do something as simple as using more environmentally friendly products, making sure that their car is maintained so they don't have oil leaking out of their car onto the street. Businesses can do things around their property to make sure that they don't have stuff flowing out from their dumpsters, or that they really think a little bit more about their water use. There are tons of things that we can all do, and there's a lot of great resources out there. On our website, schuylkillwaters.org, we have a lot of great resources for homeowners, for schools, for businesses that explains some of those things in a little bit more detail.
Thank you, schuylkillwaters.org. So again, what I want the viewers to take home with this particular conversation is that people downstream are really affected by things that we do here in Berks County, and not just people, wildlife as well, and aquatic life. But there's a lot of people working together in this entire region of Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Delaware to ensure that we have a good drinking water supply, not just here in Reading, but all the way downstream in Philly and beyond. And there's people like Tom who travel all over the watershed just to help people do better in caring about our water resources. Are there any other words of wisdom for our viewers today?
I think one thing that we can probably end on is just to realize that the Schuylkill River and all of our streams and waterways throughout Berks County and throughout the Schuylkill watershed and the Delaware Estuary are really important for us, not just for drinking water, which is something that is critical, but also for our quality of life. So I would encourage any of the people listening to this conversation right now to go out and enjoy the river. Try kayaking for the first time, go fishing, walk along the Schuylkill River Trail, which goes or extends all the way from Pottsville and Schuylkill County down to Philadelphia. There are so many things that we can do just to learn more about the resource, and the more we know about it and the more we use it, the more we appreciate it and the more likely we'll be to help protect it.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us here in Reading.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you. For more information about Tom's programs and the Partnership for the Delaware Estuary, you could visit schuylkillwaters.org. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Berks Nature and You. If you'd like to learn more about Berks Nature, please join us at www.berksnature.org.